So again, how queer people learn about sex and sex education is the topic today.
Mm-hmm. Don't they just watch us?
Do you ever go back and watch our videos to learn something you've forgotten?
Yes.
Like what?
Bondage ties.
Oh, that tracks.
There was that one that we did that was that cuff tie on the side, and I can never get the wraparound right. I have to look at it every single time.
You're never too old enough to learn, especially from yourself.
And especially when you retain nothing. How you doing, Mr. Christopher?
And I'm Eek, a kink amp. And welcome back to...
I thought we couldn't play with our nipples.
I'm not... Who's playing with their nipples here?
Me. You told me to.
I did not say that. Hello! Welcome back to...
What's Safe Word?
I'm Amp.
I'm Mr. Christopher.
And today...
we are learning new things.
What have you learned this week?
This week?
Yeah.
Not much.
Now, we are a resource online that talks about gay stuff, sex education, kink things, and we are,
Tired.
We're tired of certain things on platforms, but we love educating and talking with our community. So today's episode is all about learning and growing because recently I've been learning a lot just through our community and the things that we share via like our Discords, our Twitters. And so we went to our audience today and we asked you how you guys prefer or find yourself learning about not only sex-related issues, sex education, but queer-related issues. Now, Daddy, how do you learn? Or how did you learn, I guess?
Encyclopedia to look up the facts.
I meant about gay-related, like sex education stuff.
There was nothing. The encyclopedia. It said homosexual.
Encyclopedia, is that like a water sports document?
No.
Like document? No? Oh. No, actually, in Stranger Things, the mom was an encyclopedia salesman for, I think, Britannica.
So you learn your things through Stranger Things.
Yeah, through Stranger Things.
You running up that hill?
Well, oh, really? You
running
haven't
up that
even
hill?
watched the episode. Don't even try.
I'm just happy that song's popular again.
And the widespread conservatism that comes into the conversation of our educational systems tends to push people to actually going online to learn anything about themselves. So it's not a surprise that when I ask this... Lovely. In fact, one of the top responses, and I again do appreciate, came from Spirituality, who said, "You guys, Hannah Witten and Lindsay Doe were my sex education. Y'all still are, and I'm super thankful for that. But some of this stuff I should have learned in school." And I agree. We know that on the whole, when you talk about LGBTQ inclusive things in your classes, it actually leads to less bullying and more inclusivity for all the kids.
But if you had parents like my parents that were religious, they would not have tolerated it at all.
Oh, Jesus. Gross.
And it's still a thing that happens today as well, as parents sending in their like exclusionary, like, I don't put my kids in any sex education classes whatsoever.
My parents pulled me out of the music class because they played YMCA, and YMCA was done by homosexuals.
Hi, gay.
I didn't know what a homosexual was at the time because I didn't have this show to watch.
And YouTube's a great resource for a lot of things when it comes to education. But what's really not funny in the haha way is when researching for some episodes that we're shooting this week, I was looking into trans-related issues and statistics, and it didn't even take more than one search term for the immediate results on YouTube to be Ben Shapiro and reviews of What is a Woman, which at this point in time are some of the most problematic things as far as gender and sexuality related studies that are being said as fact. And it's places like YouTube that demonetize and hide our stuff, but then push radicalized content that really concerns me about some of these platforms. But then when I look for actual sex education, hides people like Evie Lupine, hides people like Hannah Witten, hides people like Sexplanations. Sexplanations has stopped creating YouTube content. Evie Lupine's channel has been fully demonetized at least 3 times for no reason from YouTube. They just accidentally demonetize her every year. And outside of drag queens talking about sex, that's the only kind of sexual content I ever find on YouTube.
So maybe the drag queens need to start doing the more educational content. Is that what you're saying?
I don't trust
That's
Katya.
what I hear.
I don't trust Katya
I can't get into all that.
for sex education. Although they do talk about gooning and baiting a lot, which now you know all about.
Honey. They're just doing the Is that what they do? No. Did I do that right?
for their openings. They do some sort of ridiculous like tagline or
They go, don't they? They go in a circle.
do spin.
That's what
They
he's
spin.
doing.
I didn't realize that. And on the topic of YouTube, just to finish this last comment out, again, I love YouTube as an educational resource. It's a great way for us to find information. It's somewhat accessible. It does mark things as inappropriate, but even every once in a while, I will get a comment that says, hey, by the way, just letting you know there's anti-porn, anti-masturbatory, or transphobic ads in front of your video. Just thought you should know. And I hate that. That is gross. And the way that ads are allowed on YouTube to be targeted to LGBTQ people when they're anti-LGBTQ things is a huge issue and gross. Speaking of surfing on the internet, today's sponsor Surfshark is here to make sure you can surf on the internet, find information, and keep your identity and data private. Because VPNs stand for
Very pretty network.
still no. Still no. Although if
Virtual.
oh my god, learning is happening. Learning is happening.
Virtual. Pretty.
No,
No. Virtual.
the thought bubble right here is the thunder and lightning. I'm pointing to mine right now.
Virtual penis network.
No, you're very close though. Another word for penis would be your.
Penile.
It's a part of the military. It's a status in the military.
General.
No, starts with the P.
Private. Virtual private network.
Yeah, he learned! So happy. Oh my god, that took way too much time that was edited out. It's a virtual private network, okay? If you'd also like 24/7 customer service and money back guarantee in 30 days, as well as a sick deal. And hey, maybe you're looking to block those transphobic ads, you might need a VPN to make sure ads cannot get to you. Because the way that a VPN works is it not only masks your identity, but keeps people from mining your data, sending you inappropriate things, as well as getting around geo-blocks on certain things like YouTube, Netflix. I've been literally watching every RuPaul via the WoW Presents network without having to pay for it because it was just easier. Or even Netflix. Netflix also plays it if you're in the UK or London, I think. They're an award-winning VPN, and if you would like to hit your own deal down below, Daddy, what can they do?
Use offer code WATTS at the link down below.
You'll get 83% off and 3 months for free with your 2-year deal. So again, thank you Surfshark for sponsoring today's episode. If you're looking to educate yourself on any sort of things, whether it's queer or not, check out the VPN, get yourself some savings, and search responsibly. The next response from PUBG as far as educating, they said dark rooms. Oh,
Dark rooms.
okay, turn off the lights. I mean, I've learned a thing or two in a dark room, but I don't know that I've been to tons of dark rooms, personally.
I have. Isn't this lighting better?
No,
I
well,
look so much younger.
I've learned that lighting can change the mood quite literally. I think that dark rooms are a lovely place for you to act out things and learn by making mistakes. In my early days of being gay, like having sex, going to parties, learning things in real time was honestly one of the best ways to learn something, but only because there were not any tangible actual things or YouTube channels where I could learn things like sex and kink.
So when you put down your device and are present in the real world, you learn things.
What?
Exactly.
No, it actually says here, in the heyday of bathhouses in the 1970s, there were nearly 200 gay bathhouses, dark rooms, clubs where you could have fun. Can you guess how many exist nowadays?
50.
Less than 70.
So I was correct.
Oh, I guess that's true. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was still looking at my
Yeah.
phone. And this happened because of the AIDS epidemic and a large backlash from politicians literally just closing down places rather than reaching out to the gay community and doing education. Now, it's this way that we have this backlash to having sex-positive conversations and rather just shutting down things completely that is a huge issue when it comes to sex education on the whole, or in the whole.
On the whole.
Anyways,
You said on
use
the whole.
protection. But also, like, have you ever seen a dark room where a light gets switched on accident?
Scatters like cockroach. Ooh, that's much
That
worse.
is really bright. Wow,
Wow.
that makes a big difference. The next one from Kink Belongs at Pride, knows their audience, says, my gay and queer elders are what taught me. Are we considered queer elders?
I think you're an elder now.
When do you become an elder in a community?
When you pass 30.
That's, really?
I don't know.
Chat, I'm not an elder. Is that like when you join the Kink AARP? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
The
yeah.
carp?
Carp.
I think this is one of the most wholesome ways to learn and one of the most tangible, like, in-person-y things. Like, conversations I have with people in person where I learn stuff is gonna stick with me a lot more than, like, a tweet or even something I read or watch on YouTube, just because that interaction is more long-lasting.
Actually, I learned the most just sitting here with you. Having a conversation.
I don't think I'm an elder. But that was how people learned. We had title competitions and leather munches and gatherings, and that's how people used to learn back in the day. I still am so happy that we get hired every once in a while to do like in-person classes, because those are sometimes not only for the people maybe at the class, hopefully learning from these two bozos, but we learn a lot from... Sorry,
Bozo.
What?
Bozo.
I didn't know what. I didn't say that.
Bozo.
Wow, now you pay attention. We learn a lot from the people attending the things too, because they bring up new ways of like doing a bondage tie, new gear, new ways of thinking. And that, I think, is the best way of learning, is doing it through the generations. It should be said though, when you're talking about this whole, sharing across the generations, we both have to be open to understanding and learning here. The older generation has to be open to talking to the younger kids, and the younger kids need to be open to being and listening to their older generation.
Yeah.
There's no way that we learn about our history so it doesn't repeat itself if we are not having these conversations. So what are some good resources people could be watching for said things?
Oh, you should check out On Guard Cigar Salon.
I was waiting. I can't feed you everything.
On Guard Cigar Salon is a great place because it's an older generation talking to each other about the newer, younger generation coming up and how they're feeling and how we feel about that. And it's just more of a conversation. No one's right or wrong. It's just how we feel.
Being policed by the youngest of the crew that makes sure that you guys don't say anything problematic, because sometimes, while your opinions are valid, opinions are not fact.
We can be problematic.
And I think that there is openness that needs to happen more often like that, where we have conversations that are not yelling at each other, but being like, you know what? I hear you, but I'm gonna push you on that. Why? The next comment from Mojo Jojo.
That's a lot of Joes.
Have you never seen the Powerpuff Girls? See, I'm not an elder if I know what the Powerpuff... Wait, yes I am. Dun, 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 dun. Mojo Jojo says, for me, it was the Savage Lovecast and a friend who was studying to be a sex educator in college.
Ooh, so maybe it was podcasts that actually did it before YouTube.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Podcasts have been around for forever, but also have just been something that are easily accessible and...
Define forever.
Well, audio blogs have been around since the 1980s, and with the availability of not only easily accessible radio stuff, but also iPhones, it became more popular in 2004. So...
I love that that's what you think on forever is.
As a not elder, it was before my time. Or if I am an elder, it was still before my time. So...
No.
Grand elder daddy.
You're welcome. Namaste.
I wish you'd leave.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I will say honestly that Dan is not only a friend of the show, but one of my early entry levels to being an ethical slut and learning about sex education, but also relationships in a way that's always taught me to be patient, to ask questions, and be really open about what I want, how I want it, and I think has led to some pretty good relationships. And podcasts are my favorite thing to do while at the gym or just on the go, driving around, walking. Savage Love is great. Of course, Dan Savage. I really like the Dildorks. I like Off the Cuff Kink. I like American Sex Pod. Do you have any good ones?
I like the Recon podcast.
Ooh, as well as We're Having Gay Sex is great, as well as the Bald and Beautiful. But again, that's just drag queens talking about random shit, so.
Hi, gay.
I thought that was a soap opera.
No, that's The Young and the Restless.
Oh.
Or
no,
also,
there was The Bold and the Beautiful.
No, Bald.
Oh, Bald.
Bald, wig snatched. And if you like sex, but also legal stuff, our friend Stefan has also started a podcast called Reading is Fundamental, which I've really enjoyed listening to. Your ear holes are welcome.
And these days, everyone's doing a podcast.
It's true. Everyone and their mom has a podcast, which I'm pretty sure is the title of a podcast, probably.
Probably.
We run two. We have What's Your Safe Word and
On Guard.
So the next one from Writing Ambition says, is it weird that my first thought was fan fiction?
Not if that was your title, writing.
That's fair. I love that we have kind of moved away from the traditional learning of maybe books, and we find a lot of our education in things like fan fiction.
So books.
Books are a great way to learn as well. Are there any good books that you would recommend to our audience while we're talking about it?
Obviously The Ethical Slut.
Okay.
Leatherfolk is a good one.
ABCs of LGBT taught me all about different identities in our community. There's tons of books out there. And there was even a comment under that says, I learned a lot through writing and RPing online with friends and reading and writing fan fiction. Do you know what RPing is?
I was just going to ask you, what's RPing?
What do you think RPing
It
is?
sounds like a dirty water sports that you do electronically.
When you're peeing, make sure that you are actually in the toilet.
Well, it is electronic.
RPing? Oh, role play. That's my next guess.
Let's go smut. Now, fan fiction, we've done fan fiction before, especially on this channel. We actually read some fan fictions that some of y'all wrote about us. And what is your thoughts on people writing fan fiction about actual people?
I like it.
Like, did you feel weird?
When it was written about me?
Yeah.
No, I liked it because I got into the fantasy of it.
And I think that's the big takeaway is it is a fantasy. There's been, big movie stars that kind of have gone on the record, like Benedict Cumberbatch, saying like they think it's weird when people write fan fiction that's not canon, which means it's not real to the character's abilities. Like someone writing fan fiction about you being
Able to fly.
well, yeah, I was going to go into a kink realm, but yes, if someone wrote fan fiction about you not being able to fly, that's not canon. Unless you're flying out of a cannon.
Ooh.
Here I come.
And the parts that I love about fan fiction is it's a way to live out those fantasies or make them real through our imagination and through the reading or writing of somebody. And that allows us to not only express our kinks and maybe what we're into sexually, but explore our own sexuality, whether that's identity, sex, gender, and in such a way that gets away from the heteronormative style of most pop culture-y things, which is like very straight-leaning, male-centered sex, and allows us to explore all other areas underneath that umbrella.
Umbrella.
A,
A.
which is the beginning of the alphabet, which is what you use to write.
There's so much there. You never told me.
Wow, full circle. Way to go.
The next one from Handler Lido says, asking community leaders and title holders are great ways to learn about new kinks that might be shown off. Also, surfing on the internet as well.
Yeah, learning from your elders is a great way.
What did you call me? Get off my lawn.
No, that's me.
Oh, sorry.
That's my life.
Get off my stoop because I am not able to afford a yard, even though society thinks that millennials are just entitled,
Okay, that's
even
just
though
too
the
long.
market is, get off my TikTok.
Whippersnappers.
Get on. Next, from Sal, who says, jumping into group chats, Discords, Telegrams, whatever, and just talking about it with other people in a safe space. It lets you see what other people are into and hear things you've maybe not heard before or didn't think of. Oh, everyone does that?
Well, not everyone.
No, but I do love that the up-and-coming ways people are learning, besides YouTube, which is kind of an elder at this point to the internet, is places like Discord. Do you use Discord?
No. I don't even like texting.
I mean, I use Discord because we have to kind of use it to use Twitch and all that. Like, I've gotten to learn this new platform, but it is a monster. It's like old school message boards, but as an app on top of video and like group calls on top of like GIFs, and it's such an odd but different way for me to learn about a community that's been around for forever. The new age of education is short form content like TikTok, and even there we see a lot of people kind of branching off and making sex education or sex positive content. But I do think that this next age is going to be a very interesting one that involves a lot of censorship. Even Discord, they've been shutting down some of the app related functions for sex positive communities, furries, sex educators, or just kink specific stuff whatsoever because it is adult and therefore can't be on an app that is hosted on, say, an iPhone or something like that.
So, and do you think your generation is just more aware of it than my generation because we don't use all of these platforms? These platforms have grown and exploded over the last 4 or 5 years and now have gotten so big that they're reining them back in. But my whole generation is not aware of it.
I think that is your personal view. I think that your generation is aware of it because I know a few friends of ours that are older that do use and have their own boards on Discord. It's just a matter of some people adopt these new apps and new ways of communicating, some don't. Do you watch YouTube?
No.
Do you listen to podcasts?
No.
Do you use Discord or TikTok?
No.
Okay, case in point. That doesn't mean that this person is not a good resource, just that they don't have an outlet to put stuff on the internet.
I'm outliving it.
You're outliving it, yes, I know.
No, that's all right.
You've outlived some of these apps. But even TikTok, which is a lovely platform, actively hides LGBTQ content. We had a video on TikTok that was about condoms, deleted. We had a video on TikTok that was literally me doing, I'm a top, I'm a top, I'm a top, also deleted.
Oh, now you're going to make our YouTube deleted.
And maybe even that, like, we get restricted all the time for showing things that channels like, are showing sex toys and doing ads. Totally fine, they're in my recommended, but the second we show a sex toy on here, we get age restricted. It shouldn't be like this with these new platforms, but that's what scares me about the next age and generation of sex education. It's gonna be so watered down to like tongue-in-cheek, avoiding any actual terminology and being so obscure that it's gonna be just disjointed and weird. Like, I had a video on, hanky colors, slurs and hanky codes. The first time I put it up, TikTok restricted it and removed it because I said things like water sports and fisting and bondage. But the second that I took those words out and said, you know, pee and getting hands in and getting rope in the bedroom, it was totally fine. And while I understand that's a way to get around an algorithm, I hate having to do that.
How is pee better than water sports?
Because water sports is seen as a kink and inappropriate.
And
a
pee's
term.
not?
No, you can use the term pee, but apparently water sports is this inappropriate term that because kids are on an app that really is not appropriate for children, I'm talking about TikTok still, they literally make it so that you have to be not even PG-13, you have to be PG about everything you say.
I guess that tracks because they grew up on Pee Wee Herman.
Who grew up on Pee Wee Herman?
I did! Until he got canceled for
Yeah, we're not talking about that. That will get us. And last but not least, Nutthread, one of the standout comments that came from Huxley said, honestly, FetLife has introduced me to many people who knew a lot of different areas and things. The kinky heteros are very open usually in sharing their craft.
Another one I don't use.
You don't use anything. I think that's the real learning lesson here is this one doesn't like learning, this one doesn't like going on places.
It's not that I don't like it, it just takes so much time and effort.
No, you just don't want to put time and effort into it.
How's that different?
When you want to do something, you put all the time into it.
Yes. I put plenty of time and effort into my sex life.
That was not the question. And while we don't use FetLife because it does generally tend to lean more hetero, and we've done the stats and talked about that before, I still think it's a wonderful resource. And it's one of the places where I found my first Seattle puppy group that then I jumped off of that to join the Facebook groups and the Twitter and the Discords specifically about that. But that doesn't mean it's not a good place for some people to start. It's literally the Facebook, but for kinky people.
I mean, I used Recon as a hookup app, but I don't know if I went there for education.
But they do offer articles, they have a podcast,
They do.
and do their best to do outreach. They even have a YouTube channel, although they've also been deleted from YouTube twice. If being on the internet and learning about how people actually educate themselves has taught me anything, it's that a lot of times we have to build our own spaces and platforms and websites to talk about these things. So if there's a moral to today's story, it's to never stop educating yourself and others. I think experts, and I use experts or sexperts even, in our field are the type that go out, they research, they learn things, and they never say that they know everything. An expert should always be open to learning.
I have never said I know everything.
Are you
I
open
think
to
that's
learning?
pretty
Are you
evident.
are you open to learning?
I'm open to everything.
Are you gonna learn how to use Discord?
No.
TikTok?
No.
YouTube?
No.
That's not true. You've literally learned how to use YouTube.
I know, I'm just being defiant.
Oh my god. Are you gonna learn to be more agreeable?
No. No.
You're such a brat.
I am not.
Case in point. But whether you're educating or learning, always have a safe word. And today's safe word is?
Learnt.
Can you define learnt for me?
I just learnt something today.
If you learnt something, please leave a comment down below. Let us know if you check out today's sponsor. Leave a like or...
If you like ringing bells, ring the bell.
And we will see y'all next time.
Bye. What'd you learn?
I learned that you are just very against learning.
I'm not against it. It's just, you get to my age, it's like, why?
No, you don't just get to your age. Why? There's tons of people I know that use TikTok that are your age. There's tons of people I know that use Discord that are your age. I learned that you're just too stubborn to learn.
Well,
That was not an omission. That was also not, didn't disagree. Are you learning to properly...
let's agree not to disagree.
No.
See, it's not so easy, is it?
No, you're not easy. It's a yes, I agree. Or should I disagree?
I don't know.
Which would you like?
Yes.
Cut the camera. Cut the camera. Don't get away from... No, get away.